Do you read Stephen King? Good news, there's a club for you. The Losers Club. And guess what? You don't have to die at the hands of a shape-shifting clown to join. No, all you have to do is tune in every Friday as us losers journey through the never-ending wastelands of King's Dominion. Each week we'll either spend hours reading between the pages of one of his books or chew on his latest tweets and Hollywood headlines. What's more, we're always having guests over. Thomas Jane, Mick Garris, Jerry O'Connell, Mary Lambert, Will Wheaton, and the list goes on. So what are you waiting for? Join us as we read on through long days and pleasant nights.
Welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With. It's an audio interview series presented by WFPK Independent Louisville at WFPK.org, Consequence of Sound, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Wherever you're listening from right now, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with these. We release multiple ones every single week, and we want to make sure you stay on top of them. I'm Kyle Meredith. Today my guest is Luke Spiller of the band The Struts. They got a brand new record on the way, their sophomore album. We're going to get into the two singles we've heard so far, Body Talk, Prima Donna Like Me. Body Talk, they're working with Kesha. We'll get the story there. And Prima Donna Like Me, I get to ask about balancing the stage persona with his real life. There's also some talk about going beyond glam on the upcoming record. In fact, he gives us a lot of details about this LP. And then, of course, we talk about opening up for the Foo Fighters. He's been singing Under Pressure with Taylor Hawkins on the stage. And there's that line, Foo Fighters calling the Struts the greatest band that's ever opened up for them. It's all in here. Kyle Meredith with the Struts.
Yeah, good to see you. Good to, hear from you.
It's been really exciting to hear all of this new music again. The first two singles are incredible, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. I think congratulations is in order.
You know, the last time you were here, we were talking about the sound, and you all had already been working on the new songs for just a little bit. But I think you had said, you know, one of the things was to go beyond glam, I guess, to kind of get beyond that. And I think we hear that a little bit on Body Talk. What was kind of the direction that you were looking for? And you know, is that kind of the sense that still you ended up with?
Yeah, I think the whole album on a whole is definitely an evolution, but in the right direction. And some of the songs just kind of fell out, if that makes any sense. Some of them were very easy, others were very challenging, a lot of back and forth. I mean, if there's one thing to be said, I don't think, you know, I've worked harder on a bunch of songs ever in my life. It was quite painstaking, but I think it really came out brilliant.
Having to sit on the songs for as long as you may have had to sit on some of these, did that offer a chance for, reassessments, multiple reassessments on the directions of them?
Yeah, unfortunately, we sat on some of these songs for almost a year. And I say unfortunately because that meant going back, tweaking, rethinking lyrics, re-singing vocals, re-recording some of them as well. But at the end of the day, it was all worth it. They all came out better tracks, and I think everyone's going to hear that. I really do.
Well, we're also we've got a little bit of that already. You know, I'll start with the first single, too, with Body Talks. I mean, this sounds like that evolved direction you're talking about. There's sort of the pop bent to it, you know, naturally, but although the core of the Struts, you know, is still there. It sounds like a Struts song. But it so quickly got a makeover with Kesha. What's the story there?
Well, you know, we'd had a relationship with her sort of like a year or so before that, and we all kind of like really got on. And there was talks about maybe her potentially singing one of our songs, and it didn't really happen until Body Talks was recorded. We had Body Talks, and I remember somebody suggested it, so we got in contact with her, and she said yes straight away. So it kind of happened really naturally and organically, which I think is very important. And you know, for the most part as well, she's a rock chick at heart. She loves all of the great British rock bands, and so we have a lot in common musically, you know. So I think it was a match made in heaven.
A rock chick at heart, but she definitely, you know, works within that pop world. Has that been anything noticeable for you now that this song has come out? The kind of putting your foot in that water?
Well, honestly, I've been busy just relaxing and trying not to look at my phone too much. You know, I know that it's been gaining a lot of traction, which is absolutely fantastic. But I'm not really keeping up with it, mate. Honestly, I'm just trying to just think about this tour coming up. I got people from all angles sort of like asking me questions to do with this tour and what's going to happen, what we're going to play and what we're going to do and stuff like that. So I could easily get very absorbed into everything and watch every single YouTube hit and read every single comment, but I don't want to give myself that time. Otherwise, I'll be buried. I'll be buried in a hole of comments and views.
It's probably very smart. And I see that tour. I mean, you guys are going to be out for, forever on that, as you get started.
Forever and ever.
That's what it looks like.
It'll be like the Twilight Zone, of tours. We'll be on tour and then we'll play the same venue like 12 months later and we'll be like, what's going on? Do-do-do-do.
Yeah, speaking of tours and some of these shows, there have been some really cool stuff happening on the recent shows too, because opening for the Foo Fighters tour, you were out there doing Under Pressure with Taylor, right?
I was, yeah. Me and Taylor, two of Queen's biggest fans, keeping the dream alive, the Queen dream alive.
And then Grohl goes on to say that you're the best band to ever open up for the Foo Fighters. Like, that's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy. It is, and I think it's brilliant. Lovely thing to say. And mark my words, people will still be asking me, how does that feel in 10 years' time? I can guarantee that.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Hopefully you came out of this. I mean, the Foo Fighters, they've got some great stories themselves. Hopefully you came out of this with some good rock and roll stories at the least.
Yeah, we did. We had a great after party at Madison Square Garden. That was quite fun. Because the thing is, like, these rock stars are one thing, but their wives, they're the real rock stars, and they sort of came to the very important shows, like Wrigley, and I think it was Wrigley. Definitely the 2 nights at Madison Square Garden. And Pat Smear's wife, Rebecca, she's good friends with my missus. And anyway, when they got together, they started drinking, and there was this giant after party going on in this very big room. And it was just me, Becca, my girlfriend, a couple of other her friends, just around a small little boombox, blasting out tunes. And obviously, at one point, Dave came in to get away from everyone, I think, and just started doing, like, beer bongs with, like, 2 of his friends. And, of course, wherever Dave goes, that's where, like, 300 people sort of follow him.
Right.
So we were in this small little room, and all of a sudden, 250 people start walking in. Everyone's dancing to, like, this music that we're putting on. Like 600 pizzas get delivered into this tiny little room, and more alcohol's being brought in, and it's just it was fun. It was a good night.
It's the mythical version of how we imagine those after parties. I know those don't actually happen all the time, so when they do happen, it's nice to hear that legacy is still living on.
Yeah, I'm actually about to throw one actually tomorrow. I'm doing a big birthday party / finishing the album celebration down in Devon in the UK, and the bar's been installed. We got beer on draft. We got an ABBA tribute band coming down. Shit is gonna get lit.
That kind of segs into that second single, which this is probably my favorite thing I've ever heard from you and the Struts. Prima Donna Like Me is all of my dreams coming true in one song. Am I right? It's sort of about what you're talking about. It's about that persona of the rock star?
Oh, yeah, of course. The funny thing is, when I sing it and when I hear it, all I can think of is Elton John. Like, in his heyday.
Yeah.
Like, when it was being recorded and when I was singing it, I couldn't get Elton John's image out of my head. The full-on 70s, coked-up John Lennon, Elton John, staying up for 3 days, eating ice cream, throwing up for 2, crying for 1, getting on stage, slapping people about. And I'm not saying it's like a tribute to him, like whatsoever. I love Elton John, and I know a lot about him. I know a lot about his music. I know a lot about his on and off stage behavior, and I just kept seeing that in my head as well. But you're right. I mean, it's great how music can let me do unexplainable things without any consequences.
Now, do you have to make sure, like, I don't know, is it any kind of balancing act, the stage version of you and the private life version of you, that you have to make sure one doesn't overtake the other? Yeah,
it's a constant battle, I'm starting to learn that life is just a constant battle between someone and their pleasures and addictions, and trying to weigh that out. and I think the stage persona is no exception.
Do you find that one is winning over the other at this point?
Sometimes. I've had a few beers, so he's winning over me at the moment. Yeah.
The single that came out last year, One Night Only, was that just a one-off, or is that going to be part of the record as well?
That was just a one-off. We just kind of wanted to get something out there and put to bed the Everybody Wants legacy, and I think we did. It was kind of like our big send-off for that particular sound, and it was kind of a way of saying, okay, like, we've done it now, we've done that, now let's move forward in the right way. And yeah, because it was quite a while between first album and this one, so we needed to get some music out there, you know. I mean, these days everything happens so fucking quickly all the time. So we've got plenty of songs on the back burner. We sort of chose one and got it out there, and it was good.
Well, that leads to that record, and I'll kind of sort of close up here, too, because what else should we expect from this one? You know, Body Talks gives one sound, Prima Donna gives another sound. What can we look forward to on this next record?
It's a very diverse album. It really is. We're extremely proud of it. It took us every ounce of mental and physical energy to pull off, and we did. Second albums are always the hardest, obviously, and I think we've really delivered. I really do. I think these songs are better than the first album. It's just bigger. Everything is more, and honestly, go check it out. You will not be disappointed whatsoever. There's literally a present on there for everyone, for sure.
Well, again, Luke, I've loved what I've heard so far, and it's always a pleasure. You know, when you guys are out there doing it, you're one of my favorite bands, and, you know, thank goodness someone's waving the big flag that you all are waving for rock and roll.
Thank you very much, mate. No, we'll keep waving that flag. We'll keep waving it. As long as there's wind, we'll keep waving it.
You know, stay alive on that tour, man. Enjoy it, and we'll see you the next time you roll around to Louisville again.
I'll try, mate. I'll try and stay alive.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much for having me. See you in a bit.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey, big thanks to Luke Spiller of the Struts. Can't wait for that new record to come out. Hey, you, go ahead, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right now, whether you're on YouTube or if you're checking out the podcast over at iTunes or Podchaser. Hit subscribe, and if you can give it a rating, leave a review, do that as well. Then you can head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show every Monday through Thursday from noon to 3 Eastern, where you'll also find some bonus episodes of this series over there. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.